Welcome to Two Luckies,
the podcast,
and our series Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
This is a series of us talking about Little House on the Prairie and our take on it as adults.
It is very different as an adult.
Very different. And if you sum this all up, they can fall into one of three categories, either Dyin,
They're crying,
or they're
lying.
So sit back, relax, come take an adventure with us as we reminisce on Little House the Prairie, Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
Lyin.
Season 1, To See the World. We lead in with Johnny Johnson. Johnny Johnson from our episode 5, and he is walking down this big field with a cow on a rope, and he gets home and he sees his pa is very unhappy.
Oh, he's very unhappy.
Why?
And not only that, but he is covered head to toe in mud, and he's standing next to this fence, and it looks like the fence had fallen apart, and Pa wants to know, what happened?
So he says, Johnny Johnson says, well, I was over here and I meant to mend the fence and I did kind of do it temporarily, but then Mr. Edwards came by, and then his father says, every time that Mr. Edwards comes by, you get some fool notion in your head, and you either get, better at doing what you're supposed to be doing around this place,
Or you
and
get out.
You do as you're told, or you are going to pack up and get out. So Johnny Johnson has a problem immediately.
Oh boy, this Johnny Johnson sure does not ever cease to amaze me. Just does not cease to amaze me. He's walking down the hill with Laura and Mary, and Laura's pestering him, asking him all kinds of questions of, is he going here, is he going there, and he just keeps saying,
Well, this is because
nope,
he has a sack full of something over his back very casually, and his hat that looks like he should be dancing with Rerun again, and Mary and Laura are walking to school. So they think, okay, well, he's walking to school. This must be a regular thing for them. And Mary's quizzing him for the test that's supposed to be coming up. And he's like, well, I'm not going to school anymore.
I'm not going to school anymore. And Mary turns around and says, well, that's dumb. How are you going to learn anything? And no, he's going to see the world.
He's going to see the world. So apparently he thought, I'm not mending fences anymore. I'm out of here.
Well, let's see how this goes.
Johnny Johnson figures he's going to get himself a ride. So he heads over to Hanson's Mill, and Charles is over there with the Smirkaloo.
And he's smirking.
Oh, he's smirking. And Mr. Edwards is getting a load of lumber ready because he is going to Mankato. He said it was 3 days out, 2 days in Mankato, and 3 days back.
For a total of 8 days.
For a total of 8 days. But Johnny Johnson figured that he was going to hitch a ride because someone told him that experience is the best teacher. And who was that person?
Oh, Mr. Edwards. You spoke and you got your words thrown right back at you.
But we had our first
Lyin.
Why?
Because
Johnny Johnson said that his father said that he could leave at any time, and we don't remember seeing that at all. We remember hearing his father say, you either do what you do what you're told, or you get out. And we really do kind of feel like that's a different thing. So he was lying.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Edwards wants no part of this whole deal, and Johnny Johnson says, well, I guess I'm going to walk. And with a pep in his step, he has his bag over his shoulder, and he's got a hand in his pocket, and he is heading out.
And let me just point out, Chaz, still in the same shirt.
Same shirt.
So now that Johnny Johnson has walked away from them, and he's just going to walk there since Mr. Edwards told him to get his butt back to school and get some learning in, now that big smirkaloo that Chaz was wearing just fell right off of his face.
Fell right down to the ground, off his face.
As Mr. Edwards wants to know where he got a harebrained notion like that, to which Chaz had to call him out on his
Lyin. He
Why?
said you filled him up because he said you filled him up with so many tall tales that he thinks it's much better to be out on your own than it is to live at home, to which we know he was telling all those lions. And that's how Johnny Johnson ended up in this situation.
So Mr. Edwards is going to go pick him up down the road. Now he's going to try and scare some sense into him.
Right, because he wants him to go back to school because he's starting to realize that maybe he shouldn't have been so telling of the tall tales like he likes to. Johnny Johnson is walking down the dirt road and he has shoes.
Yay, Johnny.
Yay, Johnny Johnson's got shoes. The first time we saw him, he was barefoot, I think, the entire episode, and that was our episode 5. But here he is walking down this road, and who comes around behind him in the wagon?
Mr. Edwards. And he's got his team, and he's got his load of lumber, and he's clopping along, and he stops right in front of him, and Johnny wants to know, did you consider? You going to give me a ride?
Did you change your mind?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not changing your mind. And then he starts right in with the tall tales about how there's wild animals on the way to Mankato on the road, and you can't be walking, and that you could freeze because the weather's so bad. And Johnny Johnson says, in July?
And that's was Lyin.
Because then he says, well, I found somebody who was found in his own juices. He had sweated himself to death. So he was pouring on the lying, and it was to no avail because Johnny Johnson is now sitting in the seat of that wagon next to him and says, thanks for helping me out, Mr. Edwards. So for all of Mr. Edwards trying to be Lyin, he failed. So we're sorry, Mr. Edwards, but you got to come up with better tall tales than that, I guess, for Johnny Johnson.
We're back at the Ingalls farm, and we have the return of the pipe.
The pipe is back.
Pa's over there in front of the fireplace. He's lighting up that pipe, and piperoo.
Piperoo. So we think Carrie is in bed because it seems like it's dark.
Yeah.
Mary and Laura at the dining room table, the only table they really have, and they're doing their homework, and Ma is bustling around being all upset about how Victor Johnson could let Johnny Johnson go around, to see the world or whatever she said, and Pa says with the pipe
about, the quickest way to
cure itchy feet
is a long walk. And that's why I'm glad I have girls, because they just won't run off and do something so foolish.
Yes, and Laura is very worried that they may never see Johnny Johnson again, and Pa assures her that it may be sooner than you think. He's got the smirkaloo and the pipe.
Smirking.
And now a wagon is showing up, which is kind of late. Here we are again with them nighttime traveling with horses without a moon. And it looks like it is Johnny Johnson's father, and Pa sends the girls to bed, and he guts his pipe, and he's walking outside.
And we did learn that Johnny Johnson's father's name is Hector.
Oh, I thought it was Victor. I said Victor. Okay, well, either way, Ma is very upset that he had the audacity to let Johnny Johnson go out in the world. Pa comes out there, and you were right. It was Hector. Hector is the name of Johnny Johnson's father, Pa. I don't know which one to say this time. And, of course, here's Charles giving assurances.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. He came by the mill this morning wanting Mr. Edwards to give him a ride to Mankato.
And he said, Mr. Edwards is the reason we have this whole mess in the first place.
Oh, Mr. Edwards gave him a ride? Oh, no, he left on foot. But don't you worry.
And he said he had your assurances that you said that he could travel, and he said he had no idea that Johnny was going to be leaving. He told him the same thing, and we thought in the beginning that if you're going to live under my roof, you do it my way.
Right.
And Johnny decided that he was going to get no part of that, and now he is on the way to Mankato.
Boy, but one thing he did confirm, he did call out earlier Johnny's
Lyin.
He did not give him permission to just wander off and see the world, but
he said he turned my words around. They helpfully show us we're in Mankato by showing us a big crate with the word Mankato on the side of it. And then we see a very awkward kind of scene with Mr. Edwards in the wagon with Johnny Johnson. But the wheels are like barely turning. It looked like they were on like a treadmill almost, but the scenery was going by.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
And some guy on the side of the road recognizes Edwards and invites him to a poker game.
And Johnny Johnson was all over that. Hey,
we're going to go to a poker game?
No, I ain't going to have time for that. here, if you want to do something, take the team in here and get what do you say, a stall.
Get a stall. And he said, wouldn't it be cheaper if we just turn the horses out in the corral?
He says, yeah, the stall's for us,
You better
boy.
get used to it. So he's going to try to give him as miserable of an experience as possible. He has said that the Palace Hotel is a poor place to stay. It's very expensive. Only kings can stay there. Poor meaning poor experience. And that
Right.
while he's going in there, because the stall is for them to sleep in, while Mr. Edwards went wherever he was going and Johnny Johnson was supposed to be getting this stall, he sees a lady of the evening dressed in very vibrant clothing where everybody else is wearing dull, drab clothes.
She was the most colorful thing walking across the street. She's, fluffing that little boa
She's got
wrapped
this big
around
boa
her neck
wrapped
and
around
giving
her.
him the old beady eyes and...
Oh, and he was so focused on her that when they pull back the shot and they're doing that, he's in love music because, of course, he had to fall in love with her. He is standing in the middle of a horse trough.
The scene now shifted to Mr. Edwards walking into that saloon.
That's where he was going while Johnny was
That's
standing
where
in
he
the
was
horse
going.
trough.
And he's greeted by the bartender, who is not very happy to see
Oh,
him.
boy, he's not happy.
And he has to bring up the story of him, and I believe it was the homecoming of Mr. Edwards that we did. Where
Yes, in the beginning, he was
Edwards,
found
where
very
he said
drunk.
he started
and-
a ruckus and almost started a riot, and if his friend hadn't pulled him out of here, it would have been really bad.
And that friend was Chaz.
That was Chaz.
That was Chaz.
So he meets with this man who, the earlier one that saw him on the street, and asks him if he wants to get in on the poker game. He's like, I had that in mind. But now he's sitting with these gentlemen all concocting this big plan and tells the whole story of Johnny Johnson and how he's trying to teach the kid not to run away from home and that he's leaving a good thing. So they're concocting a plan to make him win big, and then they're going to take all of his money at the end. And then
Well, when we
we
find
meet
out that our
that,
supposed lady of the evening is actually just their waitress. So that
But
was
she looks-
the way she was walking around, she looked like she was looking for a little action here. But for the price of a steak dinner, she will help these men deceive Johnny Johnson.
Right.
She'll act like she really likes him and then ditch him when he has no money, and they want him to win a very large pot of money and then lose it because he only has $1.50 or $1.25, and losing such a little amount of money won't make a big enough impact.
So
for
they
Mr.
are
Edwards.
concocting up a huge
Heaping
heaping
of
amount.
Lyin! Thank you, Mr. Edwards. You're always good for this. Mr. Edwards comes into the barn with the stall where Johnny Johnson is sitting there looking like, where have you been? And he starts telling him about how, I really should be telling you how to live your life. And Johnny Johnson says, I've been trying to tell you that. So now he says, I think we should go and play some poker. And then Johnny Johnson is so excited about this game, poker. And then he's like, I don't know how to play. So like, why are you so excited about it? I'm not really sure what he's expecting this experience to be like. But now he is writing down, because he is having the experience of the world,
Oh, yeah.
the school of the world. He is writing down the rules of poker, and they switch back to the bar, and there he is saying he won again. So we're not sure if he's just got really good from those notes he took from Mr. Edwards, or if they're just letting him win, which we
I
really
have
think
a
it's
feeling that this is probably not going to work out the way Mr. Edwards expects.
that. It usually does go that way, but Mr. Edwards is always good for a lot of Lyin.
Now, didn't I tell you earlier that things might not work out the way that Mr. Edwards had planned?
Whoa, boy, did we get it. We forgot to
Oh,
tell you
boy.
earlier that Johnny Johnson is 15. He's sitting in this bar, and he is winning every hand. And then he says, oh, sorry, I really feel bad. I feel so bad, as he's counting his money, picks up all the coins, takes all the folding money, puts it in his pocket, and says, but I'm just too lucky, and I feel bad taking all your money, but I gotta go.
I gotta
because
go.
I can't keep winning like this.
So Mr. Edwards stops him at the bar and tries to get him to come back, but then sees all those guys at the table get up and
Oh, they're
start
angry.
walking
They
to
think
the
that
bar.
this was a plan.
Now he tells Johnny, you better get out of there. So these three guys surround Edwards.
And what does Mr. Edwards do? He starts a Lyin.
Lyin.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
So
He says, you didn't think I was planning on this. And they were like, we think you planned it. And he said, I'm offended. You didn't believe me. And the reason they don't believe them because he's always lying. Even though he's a lovable character, he presses that button for us.
So they literally picked him up, walked him outside, and you can hear them. They are beating the crap
he's like,
out of him.
don't rip my clothing. I mean, they gave him a whooping, and now he is in the barn, in the stall, with a stake against his eye with Johnny Johnson, and we're going to find out what happened.
We're back at the stall with Johnny Johnson and Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Edwards is holding a nice stake over his black eye and trying to convince him that they need to leave tomorrow and head back for home, and Johnny Johnson's
He's like,
no,
I don't want anything
I'm
to do with
heading
that.
on to Minneapolis.
Yep. I'm going to see the world. I'm going to see as much as I can because he won a whole whopping $7.49. So he really ramped up his money in a quick way, and his father was going to be so proud of him because he couldn't have even made that much money in 6 months back at home.
And I'll tell you something, a lot of this was all caused because of Mr. Edwards
and his Lyin. Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
The funny thing about it, he even tried to tell him the truth. He told Johnny Johnson the game was rigged and it was all his idea.
And Johnny Johnson's like, you know that's not true. And Mr. Edwards was like, it's gospel. And he is telling the truth finally. But when you tell this many lies, he was trying to fess up, and it did not work. It was unsuccessful. Johnny Johnson is up early with a stretch, and right next door looks like some kind of either the stage or some kind of transportation. He knocks on the window because they love doing that. They love knocking on the glass of the window. The guy opens it up and says, open in an hour, and slams it in his face.
Slams it down.
He's so surprised he turns around.
And there's Miss Mimi from the saloon from the night prior who
was supposed to get a steak dinner for Mr. Edwards.
That's right. She never got that, so she's still...
Because he was wearing the steak on her eye.
She's still kind of hitting on Johnny Johnson, and I get the feeling of... I think I know where they're going with this. If we remember back, when Chaz said that he thought he was 14 years old, that was fine. But when he was 15, he was a man. Well, that same man is probably what's going to become his undoing. And all that Mr. Edwards is trying to do to help him, I have a feeling that Johnny's going to do it all himself.
Yes, he's about to find out that the world is not... Maybe he is about to find out that what Mr. Edwards was saying, I've been out of the world and it all looks the same. He's going to find out it's true. But this girl is trying to get a hat from him because she knows he's got money. She knows he won it the night before, and her steak dinner was on Mr. Edwards' eye. So now here she is trying to get this hat, and he is looking at her the way Laura was looking at him in that other episode. I mean, he is over the moon with this girl. Almost an hour later, Mr. Edwards gets up frantic. He's running back and forth. He goes over to we found out it's the stage, the window that he knocked on the actual frame of the window. Yes, and we weren't sure what it was. And he says, we're open in 5 minutes. And he goes to close the door, and Mr. Edwards bangs the window, bangs on it again, and he opens it. We're not open for another 5 minutes. And Mr. Edwards grabs him by the front of his shirt and says, did any stage leave? And the guy says, no stages can leave until we're open in 5 minutes, and sends him on his way. And now he is frantically looking for Johnny Johnson, who's standing there looking at that brand new hat.
Yep, I knew it. He caved. He caved,
but she's saying, I'll always remember you, Johnny Johnson. And he said, well, it's just a hat. And she keeps looking at his nose, which is really it's kind of, she's dedicated to staring at his nose. It's kind of odd. But she fleeced him out of the money for this. And now Mr. Edwards is running around all over the place trying to look for him. And he is just over the moon about this girl who stole his money for a hat.
Mr. Edwards finally meets up with Johnny Johnson, and he finds out that he lost almost all of his money. Almost.
He started out with $7.49, and now he has a whopping $1.75. And we find that out after he tries to buy a ticket to Minneapolis, and the ticket for the stage is over $5,
right.
And he's not able to buy it. Mr. Edwards is like, wait a minute, Why didn't you just pay the money?
So Mr. Edwards, okay, well, then we need to go home. No, no, sir, I'm going to get to Minneapolis. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to get a job and I'll save up enough money. So he goes to the hiring hall. And what do they tell him?
You're too young.
Too young. So I guess
now,
15 is not a man.
A man. But as they're walking back, they walk past that hat shop, and guess what's in the window? The hat that was formerly on that girl's head because he had spent all of his money on it practically. And the guy says, oh, she returned it for the money, and I'm really having a hard time selling this hat.
They pan back and they show this woman standing in a room, and she has got a big wad of cash in her hand.
She is folding it. When Johnny Johnson finds out that she returned the hat for the money, he says, something must be terribly wrong. So somehow he knows where she lives because they just end up, I just realized that. Somehow they know where she lives, and him and Mr. Edwards are knocking on the door, and she comes in, and she is crying because she realizes he must have figured her out. So she had to come up with a whole big sob story, and she spent the entire time lying while she was crying. So thank you. We knew they couldn't leave it out. And now here she gives him a whole stop story about how she can't get back to Maryland because she doesn't have the money and something always happens. And she does this whole crying thing. And Mr. Edwards tries to call her out on her lying. But Johnny Johnson doesn't want to hear anything about it because he's sure that this girl is truthful. And she tries to give the money back or pretends that she's going to. And he says, no, 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 you keep it. And then the minute they're out the door, here she is, the tears dried up, and she's smiling.
Oh, she's got the smirk going on.
Oh, she has definitely practiced this one. Mr. Edwards keeps thinking that he's got this going. Okay, all this misfortune is happening, and he's going to want to come home. But Johnny Johnson says, oh, no, seeing the world is for a man like me. And then he says, not for a little girl from Maryland. So he is going to find a job for himself, and he is going around town with Mr. Edwards. And what's happening?
Everybody he talks to will not give him a job because he clearly is not
a man. No matter how much he wants to convince us that he is.
No sooner does Johnny Johnson get shot down by every man in Mankato, but they pan over and there's Miss Mimi walking with some other guy, and she's wearing the same hat. But this time, Mr. Edwards is ready for her. Waits around the corner. When they walk by, he grabs a hold of this guy and says, hey, what are you doing with my daughter?
She's pure and innocent, as pure as the driven snow. So we know that's a Lyin. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. So Mr. Edwards takes this Mimi back to her room, and she immediately starts crying. We knew they were being slow on our categories here. And Mr. Edwards says to her, oh, don't you start that pa and ma thing that you got to go back home on me. And she immediately stops crying. But boy, was she able to turn these waterworks
were
on.
Just shut off.
She turned them on and off like she had a switch. And he tells her, I have $15 left. I'm going to tell you how to make more money. I have $15 left because he was supposed to be buying a Winchester rifle when he was in Mankato, and that's what the money was for. Right. And she can have all but 6 of it. So he's going to try to pay her $9.
And he didn't tell her what for, just asked if she was willing to take the money.
Which, of course, she seems like she's willing to take anybody's money who'll come near her. So, yeah, she was for it.
So Mr. Edwards walks out onto the street, and he walks by the window that has that Winchester Model 73 that he was all fired up to get, and he kind of looks at it kind of sadly and
they play his theme music sad and low
and walks off, and that was the end of that scene.
I mean, it was really quick, that scene.
We're back in the saloon, and Mr. Edwards is sitting at the table with those same 3 guys that beat the crap out of him earlier
in the beginning.
And now we're learning his plan that they're going to play poker with him and Johnny Johnson again, only this time they're going to use his money.
And he had put down $6.43 on the table, so I guess that's his plan.
Let's see what they're cooking up.
Okay.
Looks like they're back, Mr. Edwards and Johnny Johnson, in that stall. And Mr. Edwards is trying to convince him to go back and play some more poker because he was lucky once before. And Johnny said he only has, what, $1.70?
He still has $1.75, and I'm trying to figure out, didn't he eat today? Like, how did he have $1.75?
Oh, he's probably drinking out of the horse trough, and
Well, and somebody's
who knows,
paying for the
eating some
stall, or maybe
oats.
I mean, who knows how long the stall is paid for? But it was making me think that like he had to eat, right? Like, what
Right.
was he doing? So now he's got him. He's gonna be playing poker. Johnny once again cleans up at the poker game, and he made over $9 this time. So they really let him win.
Oh yeah.
And then he takes all of his money, and they're trying to ask him what he's going to do with it. And he says, "I got all of this for Miss Mimi."
Right. He said, "Hey, you can get the Minneapolis now." "Oh, no, sir. No, I'm going to give this all to Miss Mimi."
And Mr. Edwards is smiling all over the place.
Because Mr. Edwards this whole time has been doing nothing but
Lyin! Well, Miss Mimi stayed back in the hotel room. He was informed when he found out that he won all this money, and he goes running over there with Mr. Edwards, and they see her over there, and she's saying, "Oh, I just wish I had someone to tell my troubles to." And she was crying.
Oh, big
Oh
time.
boy, was she crying. And then she says, "How much more money do you need to get home?" And she says, "Only $9. And he says, "Well, now your problems are solved." And he gives her the money, and she says, "I can't accept this because you need to go home."
And that's where we find out what Mr. Edwards' plan was all along. That she was going to get that money, but she couldn't take it until she convinced him to go home and not make the same mistake she did.
And we
when she's
realized-
talking about her mama and
Papa Paul.
Papa Paul over there,
And that they might
were
be passing over, which they were talking about Dyin. So we did it.
Trifecta.
The trifecta. We got all three of them in this episode, and it was Johnny Johnson again for the win. Well, it looks like Mr. Edwards' plan worked. Mimi is on the stage after she convinced him, "I'll go home if you go home too, Johnny." And he said, "I'll go home tomorrow morning." So now here she is. It's the next day. She is on the stage, and he's getting ready to leave with Mr. Edwards, and
The stage pulls around the corner, stops. She gets off the stage. The driver hands her big bag, and she says, "Oh, thank you very much," and moves on her way. So it all just concluded in one big giant
Lyin with some crying
Cryin.
and some talk of people potentially
Dyin.
dying. They did it for us. They brought it out, and we're not even done yet.
Johnny Johnson is such a
Man.
man that he needs Mr. Edwards to go back to his home with him and help straighten things out with his pa. Because as Mr. Edwards puts it, he's going to be real grumpy. Edwards and Johnny Johnson pull up to Johnny Johnson's place, and there's the father out there sawing on some wood, and really, he wasn't as grumpy as Mr. Edwards thought.
He looked relieved, really,
know,
to see him. He was worried
He
about
pretty
his son.
much told him, though, he's still got to get the fixing that fence. Which
He left without fixing the fence.
Imagine that. So I guess the cow could have got out again. But anyway, he gets right to it, and they're happy. And then they pan back into town, and we see Mr. Edwards at the mill with Mr. Hanson, and he is over there concocting a big heap of
Lyin.
talking about how all these highwaymen robbed him, and
Sorry about your lumber. I
And
mean,
he-
what is going on?
he's supposed to come back with something, maybe a saw blade or something, and he didn't have it with him. So Mr. Hanson gives him the day off, and then we pan
and
over.
says you earned it. He was actually happy
Right.
that he was safe.
Yeah, we pan over, and there's Chaz over there, smirking away.
Smirkaloo.
All glad that he was able to get Johnny Johnson to come back home, and asked him how he did it, to which again he did some more
Lyin.
Oh, just laid it out for him. Might say laid the cards on the table. And then smirk, still great big
Smirkalooing.
smirkalooing. "Hey, where's that rifle you were so gung-ho to get?" "Oh, the Winchester 73. Yeah, well, can't see you spending hard-earned money on something like that."
Which we
I'll
know
see
is
ya.
a Lyin.
Lyin.
So Mr. Edwards gave it to us all the way to the end with the lying.
Oh my goodness, big time Lyin. And of course Chaz over there smirking away at that fact, and he was still wearing the same shirt.
Yes, he was still wearing the same shirt. He was still in the same position that Mr. Edwards left him when he was in the beginning of the program.
So they had the mention of the
Dyin.
And we had a whole heap of
Cryin.
Not
and a
to mention
bunch of Mr. Edwards and everybody else
Lyin.
lying.
So I'll say we got the trifecta.
We
on
got
that
the
one.
trifecta. They hit all three of our categories. It's wonderful. We keep doing it. I was actually worried at
still
one point. I was
hitting
like, do you think we're even going to get any crying? Not only did we get crying, we got potential dying.
So be sure to join us for the season 1 finale, which is called Founders Day.
Ooh, Founders Day. I think we've seen this one.
Oh, yeah. And that concludes this episode of Two Lockies.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
And our series, Dyin
Cryin.
and
Lyin.
Lyin.
We released these in threes, so if you enjoyed it, there's more. Go check it out.
Go check them out. We'll see you next time.
We're out.
See ya.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
Two Lockies Podcast.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
You made it to the
Woo!
end. And for sticking around, you get today's fun fact.
Our fun fact is that we found out that paper towels make a decent pop screen when you don't have anything else. We have some masking tape and this configuration of this paper towel that's floating out in space, it looks like, and it's made a pop screen.
But hey, it's working its job.
So, pop-a-roo!
Pop, 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 pop,
or
popping away.
Unpop-a-roo.